What is going on, you guys? Mighty Bear here. I am back with another video about Guilty Gear Strive. Unfortunately, I'm a dum-dum and forgot that what time the last session of the beta was, and I wasn't able to play the second one, so I was only really able to play the first one, the first session of the beta, which is really unfortunate because I was probably the worst one since the servers weren't working like when it first started. But I'm not gonna hold that against the game. It's a beta. That's kind of what it's for. But there's still other things that I want to talk about that I feel like can be improved, or that I feel like I just want to talk about things that I like and I didn't like about what I played so far, which unfortunately isn't a whole lot. It's not as much as I wanted it to be. I feel like I have a good grasp on some of the mechanics of the game and what I like and what I don't like. First of all, I just want to give credit where credit is due. Arc System Works did an amazing job on the visuals of the game. Like, all the character models and the stages all look amazing. Everything has like, and even depending on the stage, like the lighting is like different. It looks really nice. Definitely one of the best looking fighting games honestly ever, like period. It looks that good. I'm just gonna go I don't want to get straight into negatives this fast, but it is kind of about the visuals. But the UI of the game, personally, I don't like it, like, at all. Like, it doesn't feel like Guilty Gear. And it's not that the UI is bad in and of itself, it's just that, because I get it. It's more of like a minimalistic, modern looking UI, right? I understand it, and I'm not saying it's inherently bad. I'm just saying that it doesn't feel like Guilty Gear, because I feel like with Guilty Gear, the presentation was in all those things as well, like in the music, the UI, like everything like that had like this very metal aesthetic to it that's just not there in Guilty Gear Strive. Hopefully they can make a marriage of the two, of like a metal, modern, minimalistic aesthetic. I don't know how you would do that. Hopefully they can make the UI feel a little bit more like what people expect out of a Guilty Gear game. And then there's the issue of the counter hit system. Not the counter hit system, but the way fucking a huge ass counter just shows up on the screen. It's so distracting. Same thing when you do combos, like the longer the combo is, like the bigger and bigger like the numbers get. And it's so unnecessarily big, like way too big. I don't really mind that happening, but like how big it gets is just actually ridiculous. Those sort of things I'm not particularly worried about too much, because those are things that can be changed later on. So that's sort of the presentation of the game. The actual gameplay is great. As far as like from a visual standpoint, the game looks fantastic. It's just the UI needs some tweaking, and the way some things work in the game as well just need some adjustments that I think can be fixed. So going back to some positives, the actual like gameplay, like the fighting mechanics of the game. I know personally some people have been feeling like this doesn't really feel like a Guilty Gear game, even just by the gameplay. Personally, I don't feel that way. I don't know. For me, I can't say it feels like a slow down Guilty Gear, because it's not slow. Anyone who tells you that Guilty Gear Strive is slow, I don't know where they got that from, because the time that I had with it, it felt like, if anything, it felt like a slightly more limited version of like Rev 2, but it didn't feel slow. When I say like a limited version there, like in Guilty Gear, in the other Guilty Gear games, not even just Rev 2, like it felt like you had like more options in certain situations, whereas Strive kind of simplifies things, because it feels like, you know, air combos aren't really much of a thing. I mean, they are kinda, but not necessarily in the same way they were in like other Guilty Gear games. There are other things too about the gameplay that do bother me, but for the most part, Guilty Gear Strive, like playing it is super fun. Again, along with the visuals, like doing combos and stuff in that game just feel really nice and weighty. Every move has like a ton of like impact to it. I mean, you can definitely tell in the damage, which I'll get to later, because oh boy, do I have some issues with that. But other than that, as far as playing the game goes, it's fun. I like it a lot. But yeah, you know what, screw it. We're gonna get into the gameplay mechanics I don't like. The first thing is kind of obvious, which is the wall splats and the breaking the wall and all that. Visually, it looks really cool, but as far as like a gameplay mechanic, it's very weird, simply because when you wall splat somebody, it's weird. It's so weird to me. Like, there's a game mechanic that not inherently punishes you, but puts you in a less advantageous situation when you wall splat somebody and they break through the wall, you go to another section of the stage and you go back to neutral, as opposed to them hitting the wall and staying into the corner. It's so weird to me. Like, you don't, it's weird because it looks cool, but you don't want to do it because you lose the corner. I know I hear people saying characters like Potemkin, for example, they kind of lose their advantage because they're in the corner. Like, you would never want to hit them through the wall because now you're going back to neutral and you have to try and get back in. And it's true. It's just a really weird mechanic to me that kind of feels like a way for people not to get pressured as much in the corner, which is weird. It's super weird to me. I feel like if you get in the corner, you had made decisions as a player that got you there. That's just me. I mean, there's a burst mechanic already. I don't think we really needed a get out of jail free card for people that end up in the corner. I just don't think that was really necessary. Let's talk about damage. Oh boy. Damage in Guilty Gear Strive is way too high. Like, way too high. And this is coming from someone who doesn't mind games that have like high damage. Even like a game like Street Fighter 5 has like high damaging combos, right? And even in Street Fighter 5, it doesn't bother me nearly as much as Guilty Gear Strive, especially with Soul. And look, I'm not the type of person to complain about a specific character, but Soul's wild throw should not kill you if you land it 3 times. That's just ridiculous to me. Even like Potemkin, right? I can even accept Potemkin taking that much damage because he has to get that grab, and it's gonna be a lot harder for him to do it. But Soul could literally just gunflame, roaming cancel, and then either go for command grab or go for set play. And if you get hit, you're still gonna be taking a lot of damage. And if you get grabbed, you're still gonna be taking a lot of damage. It's kind of ridiculous. But I mean, but to an extent though, I could see people defending that, saying like, well, in the other games, if you got wild throw, you were still taking like 40%. You just actually had to do a combo. And it's like, yeah, I guess so. But the fact that it's that simplified where you don't even have to do a combo to get that damage, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like back, like, if we're talking the other Guilty Gear games where you could combo off a wild throw, it felt more like that damage was earned, as opposed to this where you just get the grab and get the damage. Like, I don't know. I'd much prefer to either have it one way or just not have it take that much. Now, those are probably the main 2 things I just don't like about the game. Oh, the wall splats and the damage. I think and it's just crazy because there are certain characters who have better damaging combos that don't require like the corner or the use, or really just like the use of meter, mainly being like Soul or even Potemkin, which Potemkin, I really don't want to complain about Potemkin that much, because he's a grappler. He's made to be slow. I can respect that because he's a slow moving grappler, right? Potemkin is actually pretty cool. I think characters like Soul, honestly, Soul is just the one I'm complaining about the most, to be completely honest, because Soul is just a character that, I'm not even saying he can't take a lot of damage at a time, I'm not even saying that, but like, Soul should not do like 60% in one combo and then hit you with wild throw and then you're at like 10% health. Like, to me, that's just a little bit too much. The time that I got to play, I only played as Mei, and Mei has some silly stuff too, but it doesn't too much. Like, at most, her forward heavy slash does like a ton of damage if you get smacked with it. So maybe that's like the only thing I can think of that's a little bit too much. Balancing of the game, I'm not really super concerned with. It's just that these are things that I notice that definitely should be changed. Like, everything else, I don't feel too strongly for one way or the other. Like Kai, he just seems really good. Chip, he just seems pretty good. Actually, I take that back. Chip has the issue of not being able to take a lot of damage while also not having a lot of health, because he dies really fast. So either Chip needs to do more damage or he needs more health, one of the 2. And the last thing I want to talk about is the thing that everyone's been talking about, is the online lobby system. And yeah, it's atrocious. So I pretty much don't like anything about the way the lobbies work. I don't like the way it looks. I think it looks really off. Like, I genuinely thought I started playing a different game when I went into the lobby. I was so confused, and the only reason why I knew it was Guilty Gear because of the big ass news section that takes up like a quarter of the screen, and that was really confusing. And it looks like something that you may be able to toggle like in the full game, and I have to imagine that's the case, otherwise it just looks really ugly. And not even just like that, but just like the way the sprites look. I had a friend of mine said they look like Canadians from South Park, and I can't agree more. Like, it looks feels so strange. It'd be passable if this weren't like Guilty Gear, because it feels so out of place. I much preferred like the way they were like in Rev 2, where like you had avatars based on the characters in the game, and you know, you just walk around and then you do like a virtual arcade cabinet. And people have their problems with that, but it worked at the very least, right? Which gets me to how you actually matchmake in the beta, which is you basically make your avatar, you play a match with a CPU, and it ranks you from 1 to 10, I think. So this is where it gets really stupid to me. Basically, you hold square to pull out a sword, and the sword shows that you are readying up for a match. But in order to get a match, you have to physically move your character around the lobby looking for someone to fight. And it's such a stupid way of trying to get matches. I don't understand why anyone looked at this and said, yeah, this is good. Yeah, this is totally intuitive. Personally, I prefer to honestly just have like a normal matchmaking thing. You just hit like search for match and it just searches for someone else. Like that to me would be the ideal way of doing it. But I will admit, aesthetically, it is kind of cool to have like avatars like fighting at an arcade cabinet. You know, I think it's a really cool idea. They could have at least just kept that. But this is, it feels so inconsistent, and it feels like you have to wait a long time. It's like the opposite of what a lobby should be. Like a lobby should be like, you should be able to get constant games in a lobby, and you should be able to, it should not be this difficult to get a match. And it makes me wonder how private lobbies will work. Like, will it work in the same way? Like, I don't know. I don't know. But as it stands right now, I feel like a lot of people are complaining about the lobby system, and as they should, it really does not work very well. And I really hope that, honestly, that they just get rid of it altogether and come up with something completely different. Honestly, like, again, it'd probably make more people happy if they just threw away the whole lobby system and just added like a button on the menu to matchmake. All in all, as far as like the actual game goes, I'm still excited to play it. I think it seems really fun. Combos are really fun to do, and they feel like they're very weighty. Even though some people feel like it doesn't feel like what Guilty Gear is, I personally don't mind Guilty Gear trying to do something a little bit different. Although I will say I am kind of getting a little tired of fighting games trying to appeal to people who don't like playing fighting games. Personally, I just feel like they shouldn't have to simplify a game to this extent to try and bring in new people, because I feel like at the moment you can get damaged so easily in the game that I feel like it's a little bit counterintuitive for newer players, because players who know what they're doing are going to be able to kill these new players pretty quickly, and they really won't understand like what even happened, and most people will probably just drop the game. I personally don't really mind it, but I just don't like this idea that it's supposed to bring in new players by having damage be this high. I just personally don't think that is necessarily how you bring in new players. So character balance is a little busted, as you know, it's a beta, so I'm not really surprised. That's usually how these things go. And the lobby system, it's gotta change, it's gotta go, it's gotta do something else, because literally nobody likes it, like, at all. But yeah, that's gonna be it from me. Hopefully, tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. Let me know if you guys got access to the beta, or if you guys are watching streams, what you guys thought. Were there any other things that I didn't bring up that I may have missed? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure you like and subscribe to this video for more content on Guilty Gear Strive, which I'm really sad I didn't get to capture more footage, so who knows what kind of footage we'll be playing over this right now. Like, as I record, I have no idea. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys very soon in the next video. Peace out.